Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Game Changer. I'm Mariam Zia. In today's program, we will be talking about the week-long visit of Prime Minister Anwaarul Haq Kakar to Middle East. Following his visit to United Arab Emirates, PM Kakar is set to visit Kuwait. In today's program, we will be talking about Prime Minister's visit to UAE, and of course, a number of agreements were signed during this visit. We will be talking about the significance of this visit as well as the outcomes that both countries have achieved from this visit. What would be some of the challenges that we would be facing in implementation of these agreements? And of course, Pakistan has entered into a new era of strategic alliance with United Arab Emirates. We will be talking about the contours of this significant relationship between both the countries. And of course, later in the program, we will be talking about Pakistan's ties with Kuwait as well, because Prime Minister will be visiting Kuwait and will be meeting with Kuwaiti leadership as well, and he will be signing agreements with Kuwait in different areas of investment cooperation as well. To discuss this and more, we are joined in the studios by Dr. Zafar Nawaz Jaspal, who is expert in international affairs. Welcome to the program. And we are also joined by former Special Secretary Foreign Affairs, Ms. Naila Chauhan. Welcome to the program. We are joined online by expert in international affairs, Mr. Humayun Khan. Welcome to the program. Dr. Jaspal, let me start with you. Of course, let's first start with the concluding visit of Prime Minister Kakar to UAE. Of course, this was significant visit. What are your key takeaways from this visit?
I think that after the creation of the Special Investment Council, Facilitation Council, Pakistan has been struggling to engage the Middle Eastern countries, especially UAE, and drag their investment in our mining and mineral sector. Besides that, this visit also highlight or underscore that the UAE is the third biggest trade partner of Pakistan, and Pakistan desires to further increase the trade with these countries. If you can just critically examine yesterday and today of course Prime Minister's move to Kuwait, we're expected to sign the 10 billion projects Memorandum of Understanding. And what happened yesterday and today, we find that with the UAE, there were many of the areas where there was a deliberation and agreements or MoUs was signed, for instance, energy, port, water sanitation, food, and we are trying to move further in the defense sector. Pakistan is producing the light weapons as well as like aircrafts, and definitely the Middle Eastern market is attractive for Pakistani investment, Pakistani products. So my understanding is that and of course from Kuwait again, Prime Minister will be coming back to see for a climate conference, and in this while meeting the UAE leadership, Prime Minister, besides the economic investment, you can say, or trade, searching the opportunities and enhancing the existing arrangement, there was the discussion on the Palestine as well, and Pakistan reiterated that we support the United Nations and OIC decisions on the Palestine issue, and I think both sides agreed on it.
Right. Mr. Mayo, let me ask the same question to you, that what are your key takeaways when we talk about the political as well as economic discussions of Prime Minister Kakar's visit to UAE, and how they might be impacting the evolving relationship between Pakistan and United Arab Emirates?
Thank you, Mariam. I guess it's very important, especially in the context of the bilateral visit which Prime Minister has undertaken, and Army Chief was with him, federal ministers were with him. Also, the chief ministers of the respective provinces were there, so it was a very comprehensive visit. It was to reiterate two things. We have a very long-standing bilateral relationship with UAE. We have the largest number of expat Pakistanis living in UAE. It's the second largest after the Saudi Arabia, around 1.8 million people, which is around 10% of our population of UAE. Last year, they sent around 5.10 billion US dollar as a remittance back to Pakistan. This year, it's expected to be higher. if you see the total number of GCC countries, how many remittance that we got in 2022, I'm talking about last year, it was around 28 US billion dollars, the highest remittance that we got from any region. So in that sense, it's a very important country. Dr. Jaspal just mentioned a few of the agreements and MOUs signed worth multi-billions.
Of
This
course.
is port management, wastewater, tourism, agriculture, and especially it should also be taken into the context of UAE being now the president of COP28. And this is something which really is significant for Pakistan, because last year, with the help of Chinese in G77 plus China, we were able to
Right.
create a losses and damages fund for the developing South countries. Now, this year, 1 year has passed. There is a progress mechanism. We have to go there. We have to reiterate our case, because we are still suffering from a lot of disasters, man-made and God-sent both, and climate change is going to affect global South more. So I guess
Right, of
this is
course.
going to be a task taking from the Pakistani side, and we are going to argue on behalf of the global South, and with
Right, of course,
UAE
of
being
course,
the
of course.
president.
But let's focus on the MOUs, former Ambassador Naila. When we talk about this visit, of course, Prime Minister has also said that this has entered Pakistan UAE ties into a new era of strategic alliance. How do you see the significance of these MOUs, and how do you think they would be implemented in enhancing Pakistan's economic ties with United Arab Emirates?
Well, Mariam, like the illustrious panelists that have already alluded to all the MOUs that have been signed, our relations with UAE are well founded.
Of course.
And we have had agreements before also, which have strengthened our ties. But now, as you said, it's a new chapter in our relationship. And it's billions of dollars of investments that are coming. Pakistan at this moment is in economic difficulties, so we need friends like that who are willing to invest and promote our economy. As Humayun just said, 1.6 million Pakistanis are in UAE, and our trade with them in just 1 year increased by 25%. So from 8 billion to 10 billion, we have now trade, and it's our third largest trading partner in the world.
So what specific initiatives, when we talk about SIFC, are going to be implemented with the help of these MOUs, and of course unlocking the potential of these investment agreements that we have done with UAE?
Well, as I understand, SIFC, after its formation and before the visit, all these projects were discussed in the parliament and in the SIFC.
Of course.
So I think this is one of the few times when the projects have been studied before signing the MOUs. So therefore, I'm confident that all the pros and cons have been studied, and therefore the implementation would be easier.
Of course, it was discussed in the cabinet as well.
Exactly,
Yes.
it was discussed in the cabinet, which wasn't done before. It wasn't a practice before. So now it has cabinet approval, it has SIFC, and we have our line ministries. So implementation, which has always been our weak point, would now inshallah be our strength. And if we implement these projects, because just signing the MOUs is not enough, getting them on the ground and bringing the benefits to the people of the country is important.
Of course, that is
And
the key
that's
question
where
as well.
it is, implementation is important.
Of course, and implementation is critical. But when we talk about investments in sectors like food security, how do you think that is going to help in diversification of Pakistan's economy?
I think that I fully concur Excellency's point that, as she very rightly said, MOU is the first step, but the practical step is execution of those MOUs. And within this context, as you raised this issue with reference to the food security, I think that Pakistan has a big, and you can say, agriculture productivity capacity. and at the same time agri-related businesses. For example, we can have a chicken industry or and egg industry, and plus we have a meat industry. We have a agriculture items from vegetables to the grains. But the issue, if you see Pakistan, what is lacking? We are lacking the investment in the new techniques to produce, and investment in the how to make the productivity of these you can say agriculture multiply, or the yield of the crops.
Technology transfer is also important, of course.
Agri-technology transfer, and at the same time how to make our meat and you can say poultry products attractive or acceptable. First acceptable and then attractive. Naturally, for that there are certain standards which we have a EU food standards or other standards, and for that you again need a technology that from the from harvesting to the market. And in that case, for rearing the chickens or the you can say these buffaloes or these kind of things for meat animals to the market, and how to preserve the meat and transport. Naturally, it is a very technological requirement, technology's requirement, but it's a very intensive investment requirement. So I think when we UAE needs the sport.
Of course.
It can be a food basket for Pakistan. Pakistan can be a food basket for them by you can say mutual cooperation, and in that, of course, attracting their technological assistance and the investment in these sectors, which I just a few of them I highlighted. I think that these are the sectors where Pakistan is looking foreign investment for increasing the yield of the crops or increasing the productivity of the other, and at the same time how to preserve them and how to meet the biosecurity challenges, because biosafety or these challenges are very important when you take your food to the other markets.
Right, of course. Mr. Mayo, let's talk about port projects and port operations projects and initiatives. How do you think that is collaboration in that regard is going to help both countries, and how both countries are going to be materializing when we talk about MOUs in this specific sector?
Thank you, Mariam. I guess there's already a very coherent sort of a cooperation going on with UAE for last many years. Recently, Port of Dubai has acquired few berths at Karachi port in order to enhance them, in order to have more spacing, dredging, and then enhancing the capacity. And then the way UAE has mastered this arts of logistics and ease of doing business, that's something which the entire world is seeing. A country from a very low income country to become one of the most advanced countries in the Middle East. I guess this is something Pakistan can learn. And now that we are developing our ports, Karachi port, Port Qasim, Gawada port, I guess the expertise that UAE has mastered over the year will definitely going to help Pakistan. There's going to be transfer of technology. Logistics is something which is going to be very important. We are entering the second phase of Pakistan-China economic corridor, and in that we are going to have industrialization here, and then through that industrialization our logistic has to be state of the art. So I guess that is something which we need to learn from UAE, and through these MOUs this cooperation is going to enhance. And it's not only going to be on ports only, it's going to be on airports as well. UAE has also done one of the best.
And can you elaborate what kind of infrastructure projects are going to be developed when we talk about these specific MOUs that are signed during this visit, and how they are going to facilitate the trade between both the countries and might increase the trade volume between both the countries?
You know, it's going to be a two-pronged thing. The first thing is that we have signed around 7 MOUs in the sectors of energy. UAE is again one of the leading countries in terms of energy exploration. So we would be hoping that the UAE investor would be coming inside Pakistan in terms of exploration, in terms of refinery setting. This is something which we have been discussing with our other GCC partner. So I guess refinery is something in which Pakistan and UAE would be in. Hopefully in the coming future would be investing in Pakistan, and a refinery would be set up. That's something which Pakistan has been trying for a very long time. Apart from that, logistics has already been mentioned. Wastewater treatment, again, UAE has water scarcity, and the way they have dealt with water scarce treatment, this is something which we would be needing in the next 10 to 15 years, because we are also becoming very, very water scarce country. food
Of
security.
course.
Dr. Jaspal has already mentioned Pakistan has huge livestock industry. We have been exporting there. So now we would be exporting more in terms of not only chicken and poultry, but also meat, sheep and goats and other things, which Pakistan has a lot, especially in Balochistan, Sindh and South Punjab area. Logistics, minerals and mining. This is also something which we have been hoping. And by the way, UAE has a
Right, and
vision
when Mr.
2040.
Mayu, when we talk about logistics, of course, how do you think that logistics and cooperation in that regard is going to enhance connectivity between both the countries and facilitate the trade? Of course, like you have mentioned, can you tell us about some of the specific initiatives?
Yeah, the logistic is especially one of the area which Pakistan is very much interested with our neighboring countries in terms of, as I've already mentioned, that we are going through this connectivity phase where South Asia and Central Asia is getting connected. We want UAE expertise in terms of logistics, and they have mastered that over the years. So we would be hoping that the UAE would help Pakistan set up the logistic network within Pakistan, train our people, and then the way they have achieved international standards in logistics, that's something which have been missing in Pakistan for many years. So if we can do that in next 5 to 10 years with CPEC and SIFC and more investment coming, infrastructure already laid down, I guess sky is the limit. And there's one more thing which is very important. Pakistan being one of the most a country which has the largest number of youth bulge, UAE
Of course.
needs a lot of now labor for next 5 to 10 years because they are
Right.
going for their vision 2040. So we can export
Right.
our labor, which can bring a lot of remittance to Pakistan. So it's going to be a two-way thing.
Right. Of course, and from these investments, a lot of economic opportunities are going to be arising. And when we talk about different projects or investment opportunities, of course, minerals and mines is one of the key sectors that is covered in SIFC as well. And in this particular visit, this was also of key significance. Can you tell us about the strategic importance of minerals and mines, specifically in collaboration with UAE, and how that is going to be contributing towards the economic diversification of Pakistan?
Economic diversification is the first point I would raise, because earlier on we used to do all these trade in fixed
Traditional,
fields,
of course,
like
trades.
textiles and food was what we
Leather
were
goods.
exporting, leather goods to UAE. But this time there is a diversification. These projects are in diverse areas, whether it's IT, whether it's mining, whether it's energy. So there is a diversification here. As regards mining is concerned, mining is very strategic. And I think the issue is of Ricodic basically, because we have faced problems in Ricodic mainly because of our own lack of capacity, because we were in Canada basically, and we are the ones who encouraged Barrick Gold to come here, and we had met Peter Monk, who was the owner, to come here and invest in Pakistan. And when they were investing, this is one thing they pointed out to us. They said, your people don't have the capacity to negotiate an agreement in context of international law. So we really didn't have that capacity. The other problem that came into it was when we had 18th Amendment. So the agreement was signed with federal, and then it was passed on to the province, and the province didn't have any capacity.
Of course.
So all those problems have now been resolved.
Of course.
But
And do you think that after the launch of SIFC, these issues are going to be addressed for the smooth implementation of these MOUs and agreements when we talk about these diverse sectors that we are exploring?
I hope so. I'm not sure if they have any legal experts in SIFC. This is about international law. When you sign international agreements, you have to have legal experts who can protect your interests. And I don't know how many specialists of international law do we have right now. So while they're talking about the percentage, I think with Barrick Gold, they have agreed to give you 25%.
Right. Can you tell us some of the key pointers that should be ensured in place to ensure the accountability and transparency of these agreements, and of course for their smooth implementation?
I think transparency and accountability are very important.
Like what kind of measures should be in place?
Firstly, when once this MOU has been signed, its implementation now, it's not just one party, because with, for example, RICODIC, there are many parties that are involved, so they all have to be taken on board and seen who will get what percentage of the benefits. And that should be very clear, because if there is ambiguity there, it can lead to problems in the time of implementation, and particularly in terms when you get profits out of this, because according to Barrick Gold, we are the second largest gold reserves. We have copper, we have
Right,
you know, all these minerals that are there, which you said strategic. But with UAE, we are also having good defense cooperation, because they have, you know, we have been victim of terrorism, so our forces are well trained to deal with terrorism. So we can help them in their security issues also.
Of course, that is very important. But Mr. Humayun, when we talk about Pakistan's agreements with UAE, how do you think that these economic initiatives are going to be impacting diplomatic ties between Pakistan and UAE, specifically when we talk about it in the context of regional geopolitics?
I guess this brotherhood that has existed between UAE and Pakistan, with these new MOUs, is going to be cemented more. So in the context of geopolitics, UAE has always been very supportive of Pakistan in most of international relations issues that impact not only Pakistan, Middle East, but the entire Muslim world. So I guess these MOUs will enhance the existing economic relationship to more people-to-people relationship, because if we are hoping that the UAE is going to invest more, we are also at the same time hoping that more Pakistani workers and laborers can be able to go to UAE. Visa regimes is going to be relaxed between these two countries, and this has been an issue for a few years. It has been settled. So in that context, I guess this relationship is really very important.
Right, of
Our
course.
Chief of Army Staff is already present when the Prime Minister was signing the agreements. That also shows the commitment from both the civilian and the military side, that, you know, we are committed in terms of enhancing our relationship, and both are on the same page in terms of our future direction of our relationship.
Right, of course. And Dr. Jaspal, when we talk about Pakistan's economic engagement or collaboration with UAE, how do you think that this aligns with the global trends? And of course, when we talk about the regional geopolitics?
Look, in the global trends, it is now becoming very important that how the state can cooperate with this
Of course.
trade markets. The global trend is now set by the Chinese Belt and Road Initiative, or the President Xi's what we call it security, the development initiative, global development initiative. So within this context, when we look, the global trend is that you can produce networking, and then there will be a trade two-way or merchandise. In this context, as you very rightly pointed out earlier, my colleagues had already opined on it, that this Special Investment Facilitation Council, it is important because in the global setting where you have to attract the investment for the economic uplifting, you need a one window opportunity. You need to
smooth
generate
operations.
a smooth operation,
No
to generate an
bureaucratic
impression of
hurdles.
security of their investment as well as their lives. And I think this SIFC, which is a hybrid kind of a thing with that civil military bureaucracy and plus policy makers, and the army chief and his team is also part of it, and that generates a confidence among the investors that their investment is secure. The investment secure in the form of physical as well as their, you can say, financial terms. In this context, you see that Pakistan has more than 6 trillion mineral and mining resources. So it's the time to tap, and all in the entire world it was tapped. They are working, so we are following the trend. As earlier Ambassador Naila was pointing out that this Canadian firm, if you see that with this investment, a new thing has developed in the recently when we had a dust and you can say to the morning this conference on the minerals. At that time, we also brought or tried to engage the Saudis and the other Gulf states in that investment, that they can have a here opportunity to mine chromite, gold, the uranium, all number of the things are there. So I think that Pakistan is now following this trend that you have to tap your natural resources, especially the mineral resources, for your economic prosperity.
And looking towards non-traditional sectors as well.
And also blue economy, and that's why we are looking towards the UAE and cooperating with them.
Of course, and when we talk about Pakistan's ties with UAE, both countries have a warm and long-standing relationship, and of course, Prime Minister's visit to UAE has strengthened and advanced this relationship, and of course, we have entered into a new era of strategic alliance with United Arab Emirates. Now we will be taking a short break here, and when we come back, we will be talking about Prime Minister's visit to Kuwait. Welcome back. Following his visit to UAE, of course, Prime Minister has embarked on a visit to Kuwait, and of course, when we talk about Pakistan's ties with Kuwait, Pakistan and Kuwait share deep-rooted and historical ties. And in 2023, both countries are going to be celebrating 60 years of establishment of bilateral relations. On his visit to Kuwait, Prime Minister Kakar will be meeting with the Kuwaiti leadership, and of course, a number of MoUs will be signed in fields of manpower, information technology, mineral exploration, food security, energy and defense. We will be talking about all these agreements. Mr. Maya, let me start with you. Of course, when we talk about this significant visit to Kuwait, how do you see this visit is going to be contributing to the historical and of course deep-rooted ties with with Kuwait?
Thank you, Mariam. I guess this is, again, as I was stating earlier, a continuation of a very good Pakistan's foreign policy in terms of attracting foreign investment towards Pakistan, cementing already good relationship and enhancing them to a next level. With GCC countries, we have recently signed a free trade agreement, which basically aims to access market access and facilitate that. So in that context, Kuwait is one of the most important countries in GCC as well. Before going to this particular trip, Prime Minister, the Pakistani cabinet has approved on November 24th, 7 different agreements that would enhance cooperation in dam expansion, in mining industry, in not only
Manpower.
extension, but the safety of forest mangroves on the coastal areas of Pakistan, IT sector and food security. So with the aim of our expansion towards GCC countries, enhancing trade with them, these two particular trips are very important because Pakistan is now hoping that the uh, uh, energy-rich countries and also the countries which have more capital that allows Pakistan to bring those investment within Pakistan, because we are now making this one window operation for these businessmen
Right,
from
of
different
course.
countries to come and invest in Pakistan. So this is a very strategic move on part of Pakistan, whose economy was surviving for last few months and a year. This will basically cement that areas of expertise that we already have, and then
Right.
relying on this economic corridor part 2, where logistic is already ready, we can capitalize on bringing these investment to Pakistan.
Of course, Dr. Jaspal, when we talk about Prime Minister's anticipated meeting with the Kuwaiti leadership, what do you think would be the key discussions when we talk about political and diplomatic ties and evolving these relationships to new heights, of course, other than economic calibrations?
I think that the Prime Minister's primary focus in this discussion will be on the economic activity, because Pakistan is expecting 10 billion investment from the Kuwait as well. So that is the primary target of the visit. But
Right.
besides that,
in terms of economic cooperation, how do you think that Pakistan's relations with Kuwait has evolved?
No, Pakistan's relation with Kuwait has always been excellent, and Pakistan has a very good understanding with the Kuwait.
But there's a lot of potential.
There's a lot of potential. Even Pakistan's workers are working there, and and Pakistani now, it's time of, in the era of specialization, naturally Pakistan need to establish or improve the performance of our vocational institutions so that a trained labor could go there. But besides that, the similar kind of the things we expect from the Kuwait as we expected from the UAE, because of the energy demand, because of our special council facilitation investment post demand, and the Kuwaitis have a lot of potential to investment in the Pakistani mineral and mining sector. So definitely there could be, and then of course we wanted to make the or improve our relation in the defense sector with the Kuwait, and Kuwait is also looking for this kind of this cooperation. And then there is also other port facilities and all these things. Kuwaiti airlines are also coming to Pakistan and going. So there are a number of areas where we can tap and we can improve the Pakistan and Kuwait relations, not diplomatically, but further economically.
Right, and when we talk about these specific areas and MOUs that are expected to be signed, one of the areas is manpower. So how do you think, what are some of the specific sectors in which both countries can collaborate, of course, in terms of skills development of our labor, because we know that we have a youth bulge. So what specific sectors do you think Pakistan should be focusing upon?
Mariam, we must bear in mind that the GCC countries have very advanced economies
Of
now.
course.
It's not just oil and gas.
Oil and gas is just 30%.
Yes,
Yeah.
now they have diversified.
Yes.
So the first batch of Pakistani labor that went there were basically workers, laborers for construction. Now we have to have skilled labor to go there, like in information technology. If they're talking about fiber optic lines to be established, you need fiber optic engineers, you need IT experts, you need, now it has to be, you know, because it's a new level of economic relationship. Even in 2014, when the Kuwaiti leadership had visited Pakistan, a lot of MOUs were signed and their investments were supposed to be there. Kuwait Fund had volunteered to support Pakistan. But I think we have to put our own house in order. We have to, you know, SMEDA has to be more proactive, that small and medium industries should have that technical know-how to be able to be competitive at international level.
Of course, the skill exchange is very important.
Vocational
SMEs,
training,
when we talk about.
Exactly, NAVTEC has to play its role, TAFTEC has to play its role. All these organizations that have been there should now enhance their area of training that they impart on our youth, because now youth is your strength.
Of course.
The population has grown, now you have to skill them to be able to assimilate them in international market.
Of course, that is very important. And when we talk about different sectors, of course, information technology is one of the sector in which both countries are going to be collaborating. So, Mr. Humayun, when we talk about IT sector, what potential synergies exist between Pakistan and Kuwait when we talk about IT sector, and how this collaboration might help in enhancing the technological advancement in both the countries?
I will second what Ambassador Naila was mentioning, that, you know, we need to put our house in order. And what we have seen in last few years, that our IT sector is booming, and that is one of the reasons that SIFC has these 4 different legs, and IT is one of the main component of that particular focus. This year, revenue generation from IT was around 2 to 2.5 billion US dollar, and the aim was that, or the idea is that probably we should enhance that to $5 billion in the next 2 to 3 years. So if we have this huge, large bulge of youth in Pakistan, which is 63% of the population, if we could train them more, and we are, by the way, enhancing their capacity, and in terms of university going students, in terms of students going overseas and learning, particularly now we have 25 to 30,000 students studying in China, particularly in engineering, IT, and medical industry. So looking at Kuwait, we have around 100,000 plus workers working there. And Kuwait has this vision 2035, where they have to diversify their existing economic model and make it more sustainable. So there's going to be a lot of construction, a lot of engineering, light engineering, heavy engineering. And Pakistan, over the last few years, have developed a large pool of its labor, which has gotten its expertise in terms of road construction, houses construction, dam construction, particularly when we were building the first phase of China-Pakistan economic corridor. So that expertise now needs to be exported to these Middle Eastern countries, where labor is on, in terms of availability, is on shortage, and our existing relationship, our language issues is not a very big issue. Culturally, we are very similar to each other. So it's a natural
Right,
alliance
but
which
there is
could
need
be
to
capitalized
translate
on.
it into economic potential. Of course, it is a brotherly country, and we have historic ties. But when we talk about economic diversification, of course, mineral exploration with Kuwait is also going to be under discussion. What kind of challenges as well as opportunities, in your opinion, exist when we talk about Pakistan's mineral potential and its collaboration with Kuwait?
I think that there were a number of the challenges. The most important challenge is that how we attract them and provide them with security. Though this Security Facilitation Council, or this Special Economic Facilitation Council or Investment Facilitation Council, that is there to facilitate the investment from the Kuwait. Besides that, we need to develop our own local labor, because when the investor comes, he also looked at which kind of the local labor is available.
Skilled labor is very important,
I mean
of
that
course.
skilled labor, educated labor in that domain. Definitely that is a important area, and I think the government has to work over it and further increase it. The third area in this context is that how they can export it from or take this into the international market. So there is a road network is required. Luckily, with this BRI project, of which we call it China-Pakistan Economic Project, the road infrastructure has improved, and it will further improve, so that will be make their attraction. Finally, I would like to make another comment on this IT. Pakistan is a leading state in the IT youngsters. That we have a big, you can say, pool
Of course, IT boom, and of
IT
course.
boom, and our youngsters are doing the jobs while sitting here. Definitely, it will be attractive for the Kuwaiti investors.
But financial services remains a problem, and we need to work on that. But moving towards energy sector, of course, there's a lot of potential when we talk about collaboration of Pakistan with Kuwait. What do you think? What are some of the sectors that we need to be focusing on? Of course, we have MoUs in place as well. What needs to be done different so that we can cater to our energy needs as well?
Well, firstly, like Mayu also mentioned, that we have to, in energy, it's basically oil and gas. We have to build our refineries. We have been saying we have a few, but they're not enough, because when you import crude oil, it's cheaper, but it has to be refined.
Of course.
If you don't have refinery, then you have to get refined oil, which is more expensive. So we should focus on refineries. Kuwait is willing to help us in that. And then Kuwait is going to export us white oil, which is even better. So we are doing a lot of cooperation in energy field. Alternate sources of energy are also being discussed. Green energy,
of course, green technologies, renewable energy resources, of course.
They have also developed that.
Right.
Now we are also doing research on it. So there's
Which
a
are
good
environmental
synergy.
friendly,
Yes, and
course.
particularly in the context of COP28 when you're going
Right.
there. So synergy in alternate sources of energy would also be very useful.
Of
for
course,
the two
that is very
sides.
useful. And when we talk about Pakistan's ties with Kuwait, of course, defense sector is also very important. Mr. Humayun, can you tell us about the evolving ties of Pakistan with Kuwait in terms of defense sector, and also how do you see this visit is going to be concluded, and what would be the key outcomes that we would be witnessing out of this significant visit to Kuwait?
I think this is also a very important area. Thanks for mentioning that. Pakistan has a lot of expertise over the years in terms of providing security to a lot of our GCC countries, our brotherly leadership there. A lot of Pakistani contingents are based there. Apart from that, many GCC countries send its officers and troops for learning from the Pakistani experience, not necessarily only in war and terror, but also in terms of how the militaries are groomed and trained. We have one of the most professional armies in the world. So there has been cooperation. And then Pakistani weapon manufacturing is something, an area where we could export our light arms and ammunition in POFY and other areas where we are building. We could always sell, and we have been selling them to our GCC countries. Now we have already developed our understanding and expertise in terms of aircraft manufacturing with the help of the Chinese. We have JF-17. There has been talks that Pakistan could export not only the know-how, but also the system that we have developed. So there's a
Of
huge
course.
potential, and Kuwait has been interested in terms of buying weapons and in terms of sending its officers for training at staff colleges and national defense universities on a regular basis. So this cooperation exists for a very long time. I guess we need to capitalize on that with this goodwill that we have created with the economic movement, with the people-to-people movement. Now defense cooperation need also to be enhanced in the coming years.
Of course. Thank you very much, Mr. Humayun Khan, for joining us in today's program. Thank you very much, Dr. Zafar Nawaz Jaspal, for joining us in today's program. Thank you very much, former Ambassador Naira Chauhan, for joining us in today's program. Of course, in today's program, we discussed about ongoing visit of Prime Minister to Middle East. Of course, Prime Minister concluded his visit to UAE, and now he is visiting Kuwait. And of course, a number of agreements have been signed with both the countries. And of course, we are going to be signing agreements of significant importance and which will be attracting investment to Pakistan with Kuwait as well, and they would be marking a new chapter for Pakistan for entering into a new era of prosperity. That's all from Game Changer tonight. Take care. Allah Hafiz.